Horror doesn't have to be about the modern obsession that is startling a viewer with jump scares or shocking them with violent imagery. It Follows is a prime example. You just need a fantastically terrifying concept to produce a phenomenal horror flick. The film follows a girl who has sex with a boy that she goes on a date with. Suddenly, she finds herself drugged and tied up before he rambles about a strange woman who walks towards them. It turns out to be an unexplained entity that continuously stalks you, aiming to kill anyone who has a sexual encounter with whoever it was following previously. If you want to get it off your back, you gotta shag someone else and pass it on. What a genius creation! Of course, it's a dark parable for sexually transmitted diseases, and it works wonders. We all have that nervousness when getting our test results, praying there's nothing bad on them. Imagine if one of the results was Unstoppable Death Entity.
Your HIV blood test was negative.
There is a God!
The scariest parts of the movie are just seeing this thing strolling emotionlessly towards our heroes. And throughout the film, I constantly found myself darting my eyes into the background at all the extras in the scene, on edge that one might be the entity.
I think that's where it came from. Jeff, I don't believe you. You know, she might. But I think you're a fucking liar. What you're doing to her is some fucked up shit.
Do you guys see that girl right there?
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
While the film doesn't contain many outright jump scare scenes, it's the idea that chills you to the core. The kind of movie where you imagine what you would do in the situation the characters find themselves in. If you have this thing that only you can see ominously marching towards you with the intention to end your life, how would you beat it? This entity never sleeps, never stops, it just slowly lumbers towards you forever. It's an invincible killing machine, and how little we know about it, along with how powerful it is, makes it one hell of an intimidating foe. If that's not enough, it can also take the form of literally anyone it wants to, so the characters are laced with constant paranoia, as even their best friend walking towards them could spell their doom. Of course, there's many quick fixes for this problem, but the thing will always come back down the chain of people to kill you at some point. It's inescapable. This realization drenches the film in this thick atmosphere of dread throughout that's addictingly anxious. It relies on its mood and unpredictability to keep you invested. It's one of those movies I just never wanted to end due to how inviting its world was, and it makes the scenes when danger sets in all the more panic-inducing. It also helps, the film is phenomenal looking. There's a bevy of memorable shots, and the film is near pitch perfect in terms of cinematography. It's colourful and shiny with a slightly muted colour palette, but drops into harsh shadows when it needs to. It's a gorgeously crafted experience.
I see you.
The characters are all very well done too. They all feel like real people and their responses to the situation genuine. You really feel sorry for Jamie. This was her first time opening up to someone and she ends up in this mess. It also has a lot of the typical 80s tropes, but they're pulled off in a way that it doesn't fall into cliche, they feel fresh and new. For instance, there's the weak, nerdy best friend character who never gets a shot at Jamie and the bully character. But they're fully realised rather than this being their defining trait.
Layers!
The film is very coy about when it's set. There's nothing that would suggest it comes from any specific time period, giving it a timeless feel. It looks like it's in the 80s or 90s, but then one of the girls has a gadget phone. The music, what can I say? It's one of my favourite soundtracks ever. It's very much in the vein of 80s synth scores, but firmly modern, keeping in line with the ageless vibe of the movie. Almost hypnotisingly spooky yet ethereal. Chef's kiss, it's pure audible chocolate. I love this film. It's about as close to perfecting a concept as you can get. The premise, the soundtrack, the cinematography, the camera work, the performances. I can't think of many flaws the film has. At most, there's an underbaked subplot involving Jamie's abusive dad, but it's so minor and small that you might not even notice it at first beyond this awkward line.
Jay, what do you see? I don't want to tell you.
Jay, I need you to.
Also, for all the talk about how powerful the entity is, has anyone else noticed how it struggles with doors? It can climb on a roof and smash through windows, but can only knock until you answer to get into an inaccessible room. The exact same weakness that the aliens from Signs had. Nothing suggests it can teleport or move outside the limits of human movement, so if you just stuck it in an industrial freezer, would that be game over for it? Hell, just shove it in a pit without a ladder, seems pretty doable. Maybe these things wouldn't work though, because we never see it in those scenarios. I'm just having fun. There was plans for a sequel where they tried to discover the origins of the entity, but I don't think there's any need for it. It Follows is, in my opinion, a modern horror classic. It's simply an unmissable feature for horror fans.
You want it? Maybe in a little bit. Come on. Oh my god! Please help me! Jay, what is it? Help!